The Brave Archer series from the Shaw brothers was so baffling it made me go out and read a 1,792-page novel, translated in English as The Condor Heroes. Director Chang tried to cover the book in 3 installments, so incoherent yet fun that I felt a need to know what Hong Kong audiences knew back in the 1970s, which I didn't. The book had already been popular for 18 years when the movies came out, and friends of mine who saw it in the cinema at that time have told me that this was a huge deal. There are 4 other related films by the Shaws, each a standalone based on the novel sequels, Return of the Condor Heroes and Heaven's Sword and Dragon Saber. I'm saving those for a part 2 of this video. Let me lay this groundwork. Wuxia was a massively popular literary genre in 1960s Hong Kong, and Jin Yong was one of its kings. He combined historical epics with highly detailed fantasy action set pieces, and an intimate knowledge of Chinese medicine, lore, and history. Condor Heroes is arguably his masterpiece. So the Shaw brothers, the dominant movie studio in Hong Kong, took this on, with one of their best directors, the brawny action king Chang, and one of their best writers, Chang's right-hand man, Yi Huang, and the rising superstar Alexander Fu Sheng in the lead, with lead Venom Philip Kwok, Ku Feng, Kara Hui, and many other stars as lesser characters. The Shaw brothers were not messing around here. The Brave Archer series doesn't have the on-location scope and cast of thousands of the water margin adaptations, but these were ambitious productions. The end result? Well, it's actually a mixed bag. Condor Heroes' protagonist, the brave, noble, but none too bright Guo Jing, rambles from Mongolia to Beijing to the Sea of Japan to Ox Village to Huashan and Yunnan in a quest to learn Kung Fu, marry his lady love, locate an inscrutable fighting manual, honor his Mongolian upbringing, defeat the Mongolian invasion, and just stay alive. I often describe the story to the uninitiated as a Kung Fu Forrest Gump. Guo Jing and his beloved companion Huang Rong stumble through many adventures, meeting massive figures from Chinese history along the way. Guo Jing is raised by Temujin, who would later become Genghis Khan. Guo Jing's sworn brother and enemy Yang Kang is raised by Wangyang Hongnie, a real-life prince of the Jin Empire. Guo and Huang meet Emperor Xuanzang of Dali, and Guo gets trained by the 7 immortals of Chuangzhen, all real people. But there's also a bevy of colorful characters original to this story. Most important is Huang Rong, of course. She and Guo Jing form a close bond, learning Kung Fu and having frightful adventures together. Huang Rong is as clever and amoral as Guo Jing is slow-witted and virtuous. The two balance each other out, and they're fun to follow. And then there's the couple's 2 most important shifu. Hong Qigong, leader of the beggar clan, is a powerful and wise fighter, and he's also a sucker for Huang Rong's cooking. And let's face it, my man Ku Feng could do no wrong. The other is the childlike Zhou Botong, who considers everything, including Mortal Kombat, as a game. Once locked in a cave for several years, Zhou Botong taught himself how to have duels between his own 2 hands, a skill he passes on to Guo Jing, which astounds his enemies. Philip Kwok plays Zhou in one of the actor's most unhinged roles, something he was surprisingly great at, given his normal stone-faced heroic casting. Think about Brad Pitt or Daniel Craig at their loopiest. Okay, so that's a lot, and I haven't even gotten to Yang Kang, whose predestined duel with Guo Jing is the catalyst for the story, the 2 young men's doomed parents, the 7 freaks of Jiangnan, the pirates, the terrifying blind witch, the swamp-dwelling crone, the mentally challenged recluse, and on and on and on. You can see how it could all get confusing when crammed into 3 films, and these only cover the first half of the novel. Given how difficult to follow the movies are, I'm actually happy the Shaw brothers never really finished the series. There have been plenty of good television versions of this over the years, and Jin Yong's lengthy, picaresque adventure works better in that format. Look around on YouTube for comparative Condor Heroes drama reviews. Here, I'm just going to stick to the Shaw brothers adaptations. This story takes place on its biggest scale during territorial wars between the Jin Empire, rebellious Han citizens, Genghis Khan's Mongolians, and smaller neighboring kingdoms. That includes a race to find and decipher an incomprehensible martial arts handbook, the 9 Yin Manual. On a legendary scale, the story follows a rivalry between the Kung Fu masters Eastern Heretic, Western Venom, and Count Nine Fingers Hong Qigong. Long ago, they had battles along with 2 other masters at Huashan and are set for an upcoming rematch. The first 2 films follow the book's plot at a breakneck pace, which is definitely a weakness for those who are not already familiar with the story. There's a lot of entertaining segments, a giant snake with magical blood, a duel fought with music and wits, and a long sequence where Guo Jing and Huang Rong hide out in a secret room at a deserted little village inn, and every major character from the novel pops into the inn one by one for fights and exposition dumps. But overall, Brave Archer 1 and 2 are not for newbies. Brave Archer 3, however, works as a standalone. It reveals the backstory of the Taoist master Zhou Botong, explaining why he lost his wits through a tragic love story. The plot is fairly suspenseful, and it ends with a lengthy battle, which finishes up, sadly, with a Benny Hill-style final joke. Zhou Botong and this film both deserve better. I have an online friend, Sean, who critiques my stuff and occasionally lends me a helping hand. He's a little older than me and got to see these movies in the theater on the release in Southeast Asia. He'd already read the novel at the time and was thoroughly satisfied with the casting of Fu Sheng and Yo Tian, both of whom, he says, perfectly embody the characters of Guo Jing and Huang Rong for him. I'm going to risk Sean's ire, and that of many Alexander Fu Sheng fans out there, by admitting that Fu Sheng and Yo Tian both annoy me to no end in these roles. Fu Sheng is mugging his way into Billy Madison territory here, nowhere near his better and more serious performances in collaborations with T. Lung. Yo Tian is far from the razor-sharp aristocrat that I imagined, and I was happy to see her swapped out in subsequent films by other actresses. But what I perceived as their shortcomings was part of what spurred me on to read the novel, to see what all the fuss was about. Which leads me to my favorite subject these days. I love being a fan of something and connecting with other fans, and I love it when they disagree with me, and they love the thing that I love for completely different reasons, because that means the thing has depth and dimension. As my man Oscar said,
"Diversity of opinion about a work of art shows that the work is new, complex and vital. When critics disagree, the artist is in accord with himself."
I'm not going to say that Chang-Chi's Brave Archer trilogy is a masterpiece of subtlety, or even a coherent trilogy, but it's so stuffed with content that everybody's going to find a different facet to love. Venoms fans often like Brave Archer 3, which ends with a lengthy melee between the Venoms, Alexander Fu Sheng, and T. Lung. For me, this pales in comparison to Venom's final fights like Masked Avengers, Crippled Avengers, or Magnificent Ruffians, but I am no fight critic. Anyhow, that's probably enough about this, in my opinion, lopsided attempt to fit great actors, a great action director, and a great story into a format that really wasn't meant for any of them. Had the modern concept of limited edition television series existed back in the 60s and budgets had allowed, this could have been a TV series for the ages. Not long after, the Shaws were eyeing television as a way to keep their empire afloat once costume action films were no longer the big thing. But they follow with 4 completely wild wuxia films to keep the Brave Archer universe going, which will be the topic of my next video. So, thanks for watching.